Welcome back to the Vires and Numeris podcast, episode number 46. He's got 25 years in broadcasting in the music industry and entered the crypto space in 2017 during the summer of that bull market. He then has proceeded to interview many of the industry's top personalities through his controversial podcast, Crypto for Idiots, and he also works as executive producer for Quantum Economics. So welcome to the show today, Mr. Matt Case, or as you might know him on Twitter, Matty Sats.
Thanks, man. Thank you, Arl. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you on here. I've admired your tweets for a long time and the content you produce on Twitter.
Likewise.
So it's definitely good to talk to you.
Likewise, man. We've been doing this Twitter thing for a while, and you got some sharp analysis and whatnot, and we've been doing this back and forth, so it's great to connect again here, like in video this time.
Yeah, this is the first time you and I actually had a conversation. We talked for 4 or 5 minutes before we got on here, and I had some things I wanted to talk to you about before we got on here, so it was good. But without further ado, let's get into the podcast a little bit here. I always ask people like a little bit about like your personal life, like not your relationships, but like where you grew up and stuff. So like,
yeah,
where did you grow up? I know you live in Seattle now. I don't think it's a secret. You got the Kraken hoodie on. Where are you from? Seattle?
Yeah, man. Yeah, born and raised Seattle 206. Family. Live here. I've moved around a few times for work, but pretty much Pacific Northwest Seattle guy.
Very nice. All Seattle teams then? Seahawks?
Oh yeah, Seahawks, Mariners. Even though it's painful, Kraken, and the NBA broke my heart when they stole my Sonics. So I've not been an NBA fan since, and I will not be an NBA fan until I get my team back.
Yeah, you had some good years with Griffey Jr. though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. And Ichiro as well. That 2001 season was pretty dope.
Randy
but the Mariners
Johnson,
are just a heartbreaker. Yeah, Randy Johnson. Yeah, you're right.
You had some years with those guys for sure.
Yeah.
When did you find crypto though? I mean, I don't know your entire story because I mean, you and I have been friends on Twitter for a while, but I've never, like I said, I've never actually like sat down and talked to you and found out like everything about like your whole crypto journey.
Yeah, it started for me back again like 2017, and I didn't know about Bitcoin. What got me into it was I was really interested into RFID and the Internet of Things, and so I kind of realized that like machine to machine kind of mobile payments and that kind of thing was where things were going. And so as I got into RFID and the Internet of Things, obviously that led me to blockchain. And once you get blockchain, the number one thing in blockchain, that's the king. And then you're orange pilled and you're eating them like, Tic Tacs, and you're subscribing to Max Kaiser podcasts. And next thing you know, you're a toxic maxi, and that's how it started basically for me.
That's good. That's good. So 2017, what was the price? Do you remember the price?
Yeah, it was like, I remember watching it at 62, and then I was thinking, and I kind of was like dabbling, like, I don't know. And I didn't know anything about how the markets went. And so then I was like, well, maybe I'll wait till Monday to, try it. And then like the price had gone up like over like $2,000. And I'm like, damn. All right. And then, so that was like my first thing. And then I put $1,000 in, I just put $1,000 in, and I rode that thing all the way up to 20. And I'm like, oh, when it hits 20, I'm going to hit sell. I remember where I was in the car waiting for it to hit 20, and it hit like 19,999. And I'm like, I'm waiting. And then, didn't happen.
Right. The pullback.
Yeah. And then I just hodled, man. And then that's when I started learning more and listening to other great people on Twitter, because Twitter's a wonderful resource, and podcasts and books and et cetera. Right. And that's when I learned about dollar cost averaging. And that's when I learned about buying the dip and just, starting to really implement those good basic fundamentals and strategies that anybody can do. And that's kind of how I got to, through the bear market of crypto winter.
I started getting really interested in like economics and stuff. Was it the attraction of like having? Were you worried about the dollar, or was this just like a speculative instrument for you?
No, I was worried. I was worried like you. I've always been somewhat into economics, and like you, I just. So I always think that there's going on beneath the surface. Let me pull back the layers and see what's going on, and how does the banking system really work, and how does fractional reserve banking, what does that really mean? And that's kind of the thing that got me into it. It wasn't speculation at all. And then the other thing was, seriously, I think as you get older, you get maturity and you get perspective. So when you look back at 10 years, you go, well, that really wasn't that long,
Right.
you know? So if you take, you know, if I would have taken that money and invested it in Bitcoin in 2008, you know, and by 2017 where I was, I'm like, damn. So I thought if I got in now in 2017, by 2027, that 10 years is going to go by fast. Wow, what would happen then? So that was the other thing that made me go, well, at least put my toe into it. And then once you stick your toe into it, you slide down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that. It's you kind of like try to explain Bitcoin even today to some people, and they just can't seem to grasp that. Like you're talking about the time preference of you know, future and present orientation to future orientation. They can't like they need that whatever it is, that new pair of shoes or whatever. Like they would much rather forego greater you know, the ability purchasing power in the future to the present. So it's very interesting. Bitcoiners, that is one thing that most Bitcoiners have in common. They do seem to understand that. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that we have a different view of things. We just have a different perspective, and it doesn't mean that we're right or we're better. We're just different, and hopefully, our mission is to try to get people to that same point. And I think that I know I've been guilty of this in the past. That sometimes we come across too aggressive or too confrontational or too toxic is the word, right? And so how do we share that message in a way that's more palatable and not off-putting to the masses? Because I think all too often, like I know I've had family members go, "You come across as a dick," you know.
I don't ever get that from you. I do actually get that from other people in the space. I don't know. Maybe you've toned it back or something.
I've definitely tried to.
Yeah, but you're not like you're not a typical maxi though, are you? You do invest in some like DeFi stuff, right?
Yeah. I have repented over the years. I have dialed it back, and I like to say that I'm a Bitcoin supremast, which means
I like that more.
I get the value prop, and I understand Bitcoin is the king, but I'm also not naive to think that there aren't other networks out there that offer value, especially other public blockchains. And I think that public blockchains, other than Bitcoin, have a lot of value. For example, like Stellar XLM. And I think that those open public source blockchains have value, and you can make money in DeFi. And if you're smart about it, then you should. Now, what I do is I'd take those gains though from the alts and the DeFi and roll those back back into Bitcoin. You know, I mean, that's you know, that's the game, right? I mean, it's kind of like you know, the faucets are drying up. So if you can find ways to use DeFi to gain, you know, more alpha and roll that into Bitcoin, that's just the win-win, and that's the game that we've all been playing.
I love it. I love the great explanation for anybody who's new into crypto. I think that is the end game for me too, at least not financial advice, but definitely to acquire more Bitcoin. And yeah, that's the end game.
You know, Arl, I think right now the big thing that at this moment that we're speaking in time, the news that came out yesterday, you saw this with the OCC and the FDIC giving those I mean, I went through the document almost with a fine-tooth comb. It was more like a brush, but anyways, I went through it, and what they're saying, I mean, this is so fucking bullish. Like, I think the price is being suppressed because of this news. People don't realize what this actually means. And by 2022 here, Q1, I mean, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, they are all going to be offering custody solutions. They're going to be, you know, right there in your Main Street bank. You'll walk in. And so if you aren't buying Bitcoin right now at 56,000, this is unfreaking believable. I would sell a kidney right now if I had to buy more Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's 56,760. I think
ridiculous.
It doesn't feel. This is where I thought we would be at this point in the cycle, but we front ran it with all the. I think I mentioned this on Twitter Spaces when I was talking on there. We front ran it with, in my opinion, with all of the money printing, and now we're like right where we should be. It's very interesting to me. I still can't decide whether we're gonna get like this prolonged cycle or what's gonna happen yet, because it doesn't feel like we're at even close to euphoria. To me.
Yeah. I think that you're right. Your assessment is pretty spot on. I think that you know, what is it? Plan B's model is we got like 8 days to hit 98K. Yeah. I don't know. I would like to see that, and we know Bitcoin does some big moves in, you know, small windows, but I still think 100K though by the end of the year is definitely doable.
Let's talk real quick about like mainstream economists, because I think that you have an opinion on them too. What is it with these guys? Are they just like complete state propagandists? Is that what's going on? Like, oh yeah, some of these guys. In your opinion?
I think so, and I think honestly, I think people like Peter Schiff, they play a role. They're just playing a role. It's part of a thing there in their public persona. The guy's probably already made enough money. He's set, and so he doesn't really care. And so he's out there he's a cartoon character. He really is. I mean, he can't be that stupid. Somebody's got to play the role of the contrarian.
Right.
And then some people are just, they're just deep state shills. I mean, they're the incumbents, and the incumbents don't like the threat to the power base, right?
I can't deny that. Look at Peter Schiff's brand, though. I was a Peter Schiff fan for many years, and he taught me a lot about sound money. It's so ironic how things change, over just a few years. But his unrelenting hatred of Bitcoin, he's built a brand on it. His brand has at least gone up 100% since he started bashing Bitcoin. Followers on Twitter. I mean, it's very interesting, from a marketing strategy.
Yeah, and I think you know it. That's exactly what I think that's the angle that he's playing, and good for him. I mean, that's his lane. That's what he does. So I think
it's very interesting though, and his own son's a Bitcoiner, so he was.
I wonder what Thanksgiving dinner is going to be like at their house.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think Peter probably owns Bitcoin, and he just won't.
Oh yeah. I think a lot of these people watch what they do, not what they say, right? Yeah. Always, follow the money. And even when they come out bashing it, again, behind the scenes, they're buying it, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not surprised. Anytime you see a major somebody like that come out and bash it, like Hillary Clinton, okay? Right. And then you see India. My theory is this. They put out all the FUD right before the real facts come out to drive the price down and freak people out. So we get all this shitty FUD that comes out, and then, quietly we slip out the news about the OCC and the FDIC, and it's in a 2-page doc with all these words that people aren't going to fucking read because most of it goes over their heads. But if you're smart and you take the time and you connect with people and you can figure out what the hell it is here, then guess what? You realize that this is really important. So you realize how the game is played. And I think, you understand hockey. The great one said, you skate to where the puck is going.
One of the best analogies in all of sports, maybe the best one ever.
Ever.
It applies to business and economics and everything. Yep, 100%. Be there before everyone else is all that means. Yeah. Be ahead of the game. All right, let's talk about NFTs a little bit. Have you dabbled any at all?
Yeah, I dabble a little bit. The thing though that keeps me a little bit leery from going balls deep into NFTs is that there's still a lot of uncertainty around some of it, and I love where it's going to take everything. And I agree, and I've said this, I think way before Gary Vee even said this, that every transaction will be an NFT. And I love that it starts with art and gaming, but to me, the real application comes when we're tokenizing and using NFTs for real estate, for mortgages, for real heavy duty transactional things, for even your ID or maybe even voting. I mean, these are the things, because like Gary said, every transaction is an NFT. And that's where I'm excited. And so I think when you can get exposure to those companies that are leading in the NFT industry, that's where I would rather make my play. I know it sounds kind of like how the conservative boomers might go, well, I want access to Bitcoin, but I'll buy Bitcoin mining stocks, right? So they buy Marathon and they buy, that kind of stuff, right? So for me, that's the way I kind of look at NFTs. Okay, there might be some, I don't know, there's so many great artists and so much out there. I can't, but what are the platforms that are really leading so how can I get exposure to that asset class, but maybe in a little safer way, something like Wax or OpenSea or something like that, where I can, maybe get some exposure, but not take a risk on an NFT project that might be a rug. I
think that's actually a really good way to look at it. Yeah, mitigate your risk, and I hadn't thought about it like that. To be honest with you, that's definitely a smart way to look at it. Because a lot of these NFTs are definitely going to get washed out and go to zero in the bear market. So
right, and so I again just try to be really safe about it. And I look at it, again, I've learned a lot from folks like you, folks out here on crypto Twitter. It's like asset allocation. What kind of buckets do you have? I've got one big bucket. I mean, it's the most volatile asset class that we're in. So I take a very conservative approach, and I have most of my allocation in Bitcoin. And then I'll have other buckets and other lanes where, okay, maybe I'll dabble a little bit over here and, kind of do a VC thing. I'll spread a little bit into this one or maybe this, but I play it very, very conservatively.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not someone I mentioned on your spaces. I'm like you. I don't think that we're it's already volatile enough. You don't need to be trading with a bunch of leverage and stuff.
No.
So Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. So what do you think? What do you think about if you're on board with NFTs but you're not really getting into them? What do you think about the recent success like of the metaverse is like all overnight, like this huge thing? Mana is up
Yeah, it's
35%
crazy
today, and Sand's going crazy.
Yeah,
I've
got some sand. I love sand. I got some exposure in sand. I got a little bag, and so yeah, I
bought some Mana. So full disclosure, we're talking about this. Yeah, we both own this one. This spec.
I don't have any Mana, but I do have some sand. Okay. And I think it's smart to have some of that in your portfolio. You definitely need something like that. And to me, I mean, I've said this before. I think Ready Player One was more of a playbook than a movie because it kind of lays out it shows you the metaverse and where things are going. And when you see, major companies investing into the metaverse, you'll put on your VR goggles and you're going to go to, Nike and buy the shoes for your avatar. That's just what Ready Player One is. That's what Free Guy is doing, Ryan Reynolds' movie. So yes, all of that is happening, and you're going to need a digital currency to interact in that environment, in that world. And things like, Mana, sand probably not so much, but Bitcoin definitely. Bitcoin will be king in the metaverse. I mean, it already is to an extent. So yeah,
it's kind of funny. The people, a lot of people have written off using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, but I love it since no one's using it anymore, or at least it's not. It's maybe we're a little bit, it's kind of crazy because the transactions on chain cost more last time than this time. So they really sold that narrative well, the gold narrative, the digital gold narrative. And I agree with that. I do. I'm just saying, like, it still does work. I don't view it either or. It has a lot of different utility to me. So I love that it's still good medium of exchange. Really, I mean, it's not that expensive to send Bitcoin.
Oh no, my gosh! You see some of these wallets that are moving millions of dollars for like $1.41.
Right, yeah. And it's the most secure network in the world. So how can you go wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about? Do you think Facebook's going to be able to come in and like sort of co-opt this metaverse, or what do you think?
I certainly hope not. That would be like I saw a tweet last night. Somebody said that would be the equivalent of IBM changing the name of their company to Internet.
Yeah, that's good.
You come on, guys. No, I think it's a play, and unfortunately, I don't think people are smart enough that, like 30, 40, 50 years from now, like when my grandkids are around, they're just going to think, oh, well, that was Meta and they created. I think unfortunately, people, idiocracy are going to go that way and probably think that, oh, Mark Zuckerberg created the metaverse.
Right.
I hope not. I hope that we're farther beyond that, or we're more intelligent, but I don't think it's just a branding thing. I mean,
yeah, it seems that way to me too.
The guy who said it last night, I forget who it was, but that's like IBM changing their name to Internet.
Oh, yeah, it does seem that way to me as well. What do you think? Okay, so let's get back to a little bit on Bitcoin here in this because this is if we are where we think we could be in this cycle, we are about to hit prime time right now. So where do you think are you a cycle theorist, or what do you believe the cycles continue?
Yeah, I do, and I still think this is a super cycle. And here's why I'm bullish. I kind of put out the case for a while ago why we still have two halvings yet to go in this decade. Okay, we've got another halving coming up in 2024. We see already the news just last night from the FDIC and the OCC. If you listen to Ross Stevens at NYDIG, even like this summer, he was saying all this was coming. And you know what NYDIG is doing, and you know that what's coming in 2022 with banks and all this stuff. All this is going to only bring more awareness to Bitcoin, to the value prop, to the supply and demand. And when you take that and put it next to the upcoming halving of 2024, I think this is just a minor pullback, a minor correction, maybe some manipulation in the price to keep it, because once they get this, oh my gosh, it's going to hyper Bitcoin. You can't stop it. And so that's why I think that we are still this. You can look at the data points from the past, the cycles of every halving, right? They seem to follow. And I think that, again, with this one, though, like I said, no one's been prepared. We haven't seen a cycle like this because the infrastructure, the community, the ecosystem hasn't been built up to the point where we're at now. So we're seeing stuff. We're in uncharted territory, and that's why I really believe that by 2024, I know this is crazy talk, but I really think we could be pushing at least 500K Bitcoin.
I don't think that's crazy. I agree with you. I think that at least in this decade, a half mil is probably, it's problematic. It's programmatic. I think of problematic. It's programmatic. So we can sort of gauge where we're going to be, but the only thing that we can't really take, the one variable that is not fixed or whatever, is the money printing, and it's not going to go down. It's only going to go up. So I mean, I think that's a pretty safe bet. Yeah,
and especially now that they're keeping Powell in place, he's got that money printer going, and it's humming along. Right. So, and with the Build Back Better program, it just means build more Bitcoin.
Exactly. So, what do you think? Is Stock to Flow still alive?
I would like to think it is, but we'll find out here shortly, won't we? I mean, his model has been pretty accurate. I'm a fan. I'm a believer, but I'm also open to, like, boy, if something shows me that it's wrong, I'll admit that, like, oh my gosh, that's wrong. I'd like to hope that he's correct, though. I don't know, man. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what the what's the leeway in your opinion on, like, how many does he get a month? Does he get a week?
The grace period.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
I'd give him 30 days, man, plus or minus.
I kind of feel that way too. So I think 30 days would be a good. I'm with you on that. I think if we're not above 93K or whatever that figure is that he has at the end of this month, if we're not there by the end of December then or whatever, I think that would be probably fair to say it's been invalidated. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I would agree with that. And the other thing, though, that you got to remember is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's December 24th, like Christmas Eve. For whatever reason, that date sticks in my mind, that there is a potential ruling on the GBTC spot ETF.
Okay. So that could definitely send us higher, or it'd be a non-event maybe. I don't know. I don't think it would sell off. We're so used to that not going our way now. It's like.
Yeah, but I do think, I mean, maybe I'm just reading it wrong, but I do think that a spot ETF is going to really
send it higher.
I think it'll be the catalyst for a next leg.
Could be. It definitely could be it. I don't want to underplay it. We're just so, we're just ready for everything to go our way and culminate here.
I think it's happening. I mean, you look at the way the sentiment has just changed in the market. I mean, 2017, when we got into this thing, we were laughed at. We were called crazy conspiracy people for magic internet money that you can't do anything with. And, it's a Ponzi scheme. I got yelled at by an ex-boss who got in my face like this, like, it's a scam. My uncle's a Nobel Prize winning economist, and you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, okay.
I heard it all, man. I've heard it all over my time in crypto. It's people just didn't want to. I was that guy at the party, man. I mean, I found Bitcoin very early on, and I was that guy at the party just telling people, like, you need to look at this. And I was posting on Facebook and stuff, and people they thought, it's one of those things. Most people aren't interested in economics and money and how money works and stuff. So you're that crazy guy, but it all works out in the end. We can see how it works out. So everything always plays out. If you have good intentions and you're at least trying to do good in the world, I think it works out in your favor normally, probably.
Yeah, you're right.
Does. And I think that's really the core of Bitcoiners. They really are. I think the majority are pretty good people.
Yeah, they are very helpful. I think that, at the end, we sometimes might have a gruff persona, or we come across kind of sarcastic and snarky, and that's kind of the crypto Twitter, mentality. I think some of what goes with it. It's like playing football, or playing hockey. You're going to get out there, you're going to, but at the end of the day, you get down to, like, hey, if you really needed help with something, and some good, the folks are going to help you.
But it's like that old boss that you had. These people kind of made us defensive in a way, obviously. So I don't consider myself a maximalist in the least, but I understand where the maximalists come from in a way with the way they kind of try to defend Bitcoin. I mean, you need some level of that, So.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting. What do you think about? What do you think Bitcoin will overtake gold? Then it sounds like you do. Do you think it'll happen this decade? The
Oh
market
yeah,
cap?
I think that I think it does. I think it does. I think the spot ETF will be again the catalyst for that, and I think that we'll eventually see, like we see futures. I think we'll have multiple spots, and I definitely think it is. Yeah, without a doubt.
And what do you think about? What do you think personally about gold? Do you have any inclination to hold more gold in your life?
Um, I think it would be. I think it's smart to have some. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just like any asset. You should have some exposure to it. To what degree that is depends on you and your profile and what you're comfortable with. But I definitely think it plays a part in everybody's portfolio. One thing that I really do, and this is just, I'm just going to go down the hole with you, brother. One thing that I do think that it is really good for is that we could see potentially here in the next 18 months to 2 years, a pandemic of the internet, where the internet is actually down, like globally, or chunks of the internet globally, okay, for extended periods of time, like maybe 2 weeks, okay. Now,
Okay.
now, what do we do when the internet is down in your country for 2 weeks? Now I can't use my Bitcoin. Now I'm kind of screwed. So now I got to have something else that I'm going to be able to go to the store and get bread with or whatever. And maybe that's where those silver and gold coins come in until the system is back up and running. Now, I'm not the only one floating this idea. There's another gentleman, I forget his name. I heard him in another interview, and he's way smarter than me. And he was talking about how all of this is kind of might be coming, and how CBDCs are going to be tied to control and population control and what you're able to buy and how you're able to buy and where you're able to buy.
I 100% agree with that about CBDCs. I was writing about this like 4 years ago that they are 100% going to co-opt and make their own centralized currencies, and the people that get out of step will just be shut off. Because it will be a decentralized ledger instead of it will be a centralized ledger instead of a decentralized ledger. I've long thought that'll happen, and it's happening. It's 100% happening right now. It's coming out. So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. I don't think that internet thing is so crazy. I won't discount anything after what we've seen the last couple of years, and you were definitely ahead of the game in that. I got to give you credit on camera too for that. You called the Corona stuff way early.
Well, that was because I follow smart people who are Bitcoin miners in China, and they were on the ground in China, and they were tweeting this stuff out, and I'm like, well, what is this? Right. It's only because of Bitcoin, man. That's it.
I mean, we do have a very intelligent, even inside the crypto Twitter ecosystem, echo chamber or whatever. Yeah,
brilliant people, and that's what I love about crypto Twitter is that it allows us access to communicate, to share ideas, to bounce stuff off each other, and that's the beauty of it, because no other point in time do we have access. I mean, like I could send a tweet to Michael Saylor and he might reply to me, or I might be able to jump into a Twitter Spaces and hear Jack Dorsey and raise a hand. I mean, we just did a Twitter Space the other day and CZ came through our room.
I saw that. I saw it.
Yeah,
I think it was a day after I was in there. I was like, oh man, I missed CZ by one day.
Yeah, I'm like, so again, that's the beauty of the technology that in the age that we're living in. But then on the other side of it is there's some very scary prospects that are out there as well. That again, that's why I think Bitcoin is freedom. I believe that the deep state, whatever, there always has to be a way out for the plebes, right? Mm-hmm. They don't want to make it easy. They don't really want to show you the exit, but they have to, because that's the game. And Bitcoin is that exit. Bitcoin is that lifeboat on the Titanic. Now, they don't want you to know about it, and they're going to try to keep you out and put scarecrows up in there like Hillary Clinton and Jamie Dimon and Peter Schiff and all these other people to say, no, it's bad, stay away. And meanwhile, yeah. So that's why, again, we go back to that CBDC thing. That's why Bitcoin is going to be able, look, if you want to be able to go and buy meat, but guess what? Your CBDCs are tied to your personal carbon allowance. And guess what, RL? Right. You drove too many miles, or you know what? You don't have, so your personal carbon credits and your CBDC aren't going to allow you to buy the meat or whatever it is you want. Well, yeah, you're fucked. But you know what? If you have Bitcoin and you know that I've got some meat and I can say, hey, you know what, RL? Just, peer-to-peer me on that. Yep. Boom. And boom. I got the sats. You got the meat. Nobody knows.
You just nailed another thing that I really think is coming. We're going to get back to more of a barter local economy for sure. That is, it has to happen, because if it doesn't, their control just continues to grow. I mean, I'm all about, the free market and stuff, but I think being more localized is definitely positive for the exact reason that we need to know our neighbors more and all that stuff, because in the world that we're heading into, it'll be increasingly centralized if we don't take the right steps. So that's why I totally agree with you. Bitcoin and just being able to barter with money that they can't shut off, whether it's crypto or gold and silver, like we talked about too. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, man. It's we're in a weird time. What do they call it? The fourth turning, or it does feel like we are at some sort of like turning point in history.
Yeah,
very pivotal moment.
Yeah, I've also heard it referred to as the fourth industrial revolution.
Right.
With the IoT and all of this. But it's obviously, I don't think it's coincidence that all of this is happening as we move into this whole new decade of the 2020s, right? And that the end goal by 2030 is to have a global digitalized financial system, that's cross borders, that's electronic, that reduces the friction in payment.
100%. We agree on a lot of stuff, my friend.
Yeah, we do, brother.
Yeah, we really do. I only got a couple more for you here. I appreciate your time today.
Oh, this is fun, man.
Yeah, I love talking to people like you, because I'm learning stuff, and then crypto people are good people. We talked about it already, but
yeah.
What do you have a favorite community other than the Bitcoin community? I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah, you know what? I got to say, I'm kind of biased. I've always got love for the Stellar community, XLM, because that's where I kind of came up and, was able to stack a lot of sats through XLM. I love what they do and their project. There's a lot of great people in that community. Do you use Keybase? Sorry to cut you off. Do you use Keybase? I haven't in a long time. I have it, yeah. But I haven't recently.
I'm just curious. I'm on there too, but I haven't been on there a while as well. I was wondering if you enjoyed it or if you found any use in it, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't. I should probably go back and probably, refresh myself on that. But yeah, I'm a little derelict in that part. I think the Clever community's got a really strong community as well. KLV.
I haven't looked into that one as much.
Yeah, they've got a very strong community, and you can get some serious staking with KLV. Okay. They've got their own blockchain coming out. They've got a DEX as well. They've got a lot going on. So I think it's one of these, kind of I wouldn't even say they're under the radar, because they're getting out there. But I think that the Clever community is very, very strong. They've got a lot going on, and opportunity is big. Lots of room to the upside, as they would say on the CNBC. Lots of room to the upside.
I love your little digs on them once in a while. It's nice. What would you say if you had to say one thing that you've learned from the crypto community as a whole, maybe? I know that's kind of a tough one. It's kind of a broad question, but.
Well, I think the number one thing is rule number one: nacho keys, man. I mean, you gotta understand, if you don't own the keys, you don't own the crypto. And I think that getting people to, it's great we get them in, like, yes, get a Cash App, buy Bitcoin that way, whatever. But then the next step is to take control of it, and it's personal responsibility. It's unbanking yourself. If I can borrow Alex Mashinsky, it's being self-sovereign. That's really the big key. And I think that's the thing that I've learned, and I think everybody needs to learn, is to take responsibility and accountability for your own money.
I love it. I mean, that's the number one thing people should be preaching. That you don't hear enough right now. It's all about the money, so people aren't really paying attention. It's up only, so people aren't really doing the education stuff right now. It's like, what is the hot coin? What can I throw my money into? And that's all you see is like, now you got people coming back to you. I'm sure I do that you haven't talked to in years. They want to know what they should do. They want to. It's like, hey, where were you 4 years ago or 3 years ago?
You want to see my text messages, RL? I mean, dude, I was happening this morning, man. Like, right. What should I'm like,
where were you at 3100? Those messages weren't coming in at 3100.
No,
right?
They weren't.
Yeah.
And then what gets me is that you get folks like, God bless them, so they feel like, oh, I missed out on Bitcoin because it's like 50, right. 60,000. So now they want to go chasing these, meme coins. And I'm like, that is the worst fucking strategy.
Bro, I found Bitcoin in 2009 at like was nothing. It was nothing.
Dude.
And I had a conversation with my buddy. He was sleeping on my futon at the time. He had just moved into town, didn't have anywhere to stay. I was still at Ohio State. I was like 21, and he's let's see, no, I was like 22, and he's in my futon or whatever, and I'm on my computer. I had a little desk set up, and I'm talking to him. I think I probably found it on Twitter because I've been on Twitter since 2009. I think I found it in late 2009. So I don't remember the exact price, but we're talking about it like, he's like, we already missed it. We thought we missed it in 2009.
Oh, jeez.
And I had I had family and stuff there, like, because I'm one of those people, like, I would come up and tell you, like, I had this feeling that this thing was, I read the white paper. I'm like, this is revolutionary. Yeah. But I knew it was such a long shot, but I was like, I had people tell me it would never be $1. It would never be $1, but it's just funny, like, where we are. But, these people do circle back and they're like, wow, so what do you think now? Where are we or whatever? So, but they always want to FOMO in the composite man or composite operator, the guy, there are people that move this market probably at some level, and they are so good at stringing people along, and then they bring them in right at the end. Like, it's just, it's amazing how they can do it. So I don't know. It's funny to me.
Yeah. Yeah. What should I buy Taco Cat? No, you should not buy Taco Cat.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, but all right, last question. I think we've talked about it, and I think everybody probably knows, but I ask everybody this at the end, what does Bitcoin mean to you?
Freedom.
Very, yeah, it's succinct. Yeah, very easy. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we did know that. We knew it was freedom. I knew you were going to say freedom. I agree. Last question, because I want to ask you about music. Who is your favorite artist of all time?
Oh man, I can't.
I know, man. I knew you were going to say that, but you got to give me one.
One artist of all time?
Yeah, you only get one.
Oh my gosh.
Mine. I'm up there with the Jim Croce crowd. I think he might be my all-time favorite. I'm a big Mac Miller fan, new era, but
okay. Wow. If I'm gonna have to go one artist of all time, it would be a group.
Okay.
And if I had to pick one of all, I'm gonna have to say the Beatles, I guess.
Oh man, the Beatles. You can't go wrong there.
If I had to pick one, just what they've done and their contribution to music and just sound and recording and all of that. And how they've inspired so many other bands as a result. I would say they would probably have to be right there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was listening to them just last week. Actually, I hadn't listened to them in a long time. You cannot go wrong with the Beatles. Come on.
Yeah.
No way. What do you have a favorite Beatles album, or you just like?
Oh yeah, of course. It's Pepper.
Okay.
Right. Now if we want to go down a different rabbit hole, RL, I got a whole book I've read. It's called the Memoirs of Billy Shears, and apparently the story is this: Paul McCartney, the real Paul McCartney, died in a car accident.
I know about Paul McCartney a little bit.
Okay, all right then, dude. I got the book. You should read it. It's a big, thick book, and apparently it's written. It's a autobiography. The guy who is Fall, right, is telling the story to the guy who's writing it. Okay. And it goes through and it gives you like some seriously really weird, spooky shit that lines up like going, oh my gosh, there's some serious stuff in this book, man. And
what's his name? Brian Epstein, right? Wasn't that the manager, Brian Epstein?
Yeah, Brian Epstein. Yeah.
I've read a little bit about it. It is interesting. And I have seen some pictures of the two. Man, they do look alike, but the face isn't. It could be. I'll say that. Yeah. It was they say it was a car crash or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look, now if you start going through all this and you look at the album cover of Sgt. Pepper, and there's so many clues in the album cover of like to the date that he died. You take a mirror and you put it up to the bass drum on the album cover, and it does this reflection, and it shows you in Roman numerals the date of which was September 11th, 1966, that he died. Right. And it was apparently it was there's all this stuff in the book that goes through this. And like a lot of the bands even back then knew, but nobody talked about it because the Beatles were part of Tavistock, which is a big university over there where they do kind of government psyop shit. They were part of the whole Tavistock experiment in the 60s to control culture and counterculture, them along with the Stones and Pink Floyd. Again, we're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, we are. But I like it. You know who else is on the cover of that Sgt. Pepper's album, right?
Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, now that we went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, man.
I think he's top left. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on there twice, actually.
What? He's on there
Yeah,
twice?
there's one where you fully see him, yes, and then there's one where you see like half of his face. But yeah, he's on there twice.
Now I got to look when we get off here.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, bro. Hey, this is a lot of fun. We're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and let's do like once a month thing, dude. Just chop it up. This is fun.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on, Matt. It was a pleasure. Everybody, I'm gonna have your links up in the corner here, so everybody go make sure you check out Matt Case or Matty Sats on Twitter.
I appreciate it, RL.
Yeah, make sure
you come back through the spaces. We're always, we do the spaces every day. You're always welcome to come through. It's like the view we hear. You come through, you pop in, you pop out, hang out. That's what it is. It's just community. Absolutely.
Yeah, make sure you check them out on Twitter Spaces. I had a lot of fun with that. I was going to get in there the other day, but I think I might have had the Rona, man. I just got better. So, yeah, I'm feeling better. But I'll see you over there. Hang on one second. I'll say a proper goodbye.
All right. I appreciate you, friend. Thank you so much.